Ethan, you really think this company runs because of your little lines of code? Everything you have, your title, your paycheck, it's all because we let you sit at the table. That was my brother, Nathan, at the boardroom table in San Francisco. The room smelled of stale coffee and expensive perfume. A skyline of glass towers shimmered behind him as if to echo his arrogance. He leaned forward, palms flat on the mahogany surface, voice steady but sharp. We invested $30 million. The algorithm belongs to Grayson Dynamics, not to you. My father sat at the head of the table. He didn't even look at me, just tapped his pen twice, a habit he had when he'd already made up his mind. Ethan, he said softly, companies are built by teams, not heroes. And just like that, my years of work, my life's creation, became company property. After that meeting, they moved my office downstairs, literally. They called it the technical maintenance suite, but it was the old server room. Cold air, humming machines, a single flickering light. Two consultants started shadowing me. They said they were here to improve system efficiency, but everyone knew they were Nathan's eyes. They'd lean over my shoulder, smirking. Heard your code's a mess, Ethan. Want us to clean it up for you? I smiled back, handed them a decoy version, and watched them take notes from a ghost file. The real code, my code, was encrypted and stored on a private server across the ocean. Every night, when the building emptied and only the AC buzzed, I'd sit there in the blue light of the monitors, watching lines of code slide down like raindrops. Each line, each commit, was a memory. Each backup, a step toward freedom. They thought they buried me in the basement. They didn't realize I was building a tunnel out. 3 years earlier, I was the co-founder of Grayson Dynamics. Back then, Nathan and I were equals, or at least, I believed we were. We worked in a garage that smelled of dust and instant noodles. He handled investors, I handled code. He'd say, one day, Ethan, Forbes will call us the brothers who built the future. When Forbes finally did call, there was only one photo on the page. Him. Alone. That was the start of it, the slow erasure. When our father joined the board, everything changed. My shares were diluted to streamline decision-making. Nathan came into my office one night, wearing that perfect white shirt, sleeves rolled up like he'd been working hard. Sign it, he said, laying the agreement on my desk. Standard paperwork. Dad insists. It'll protect both of us. I signed, because back then, I still trusted him. Later, I found out the pen he handed me had a built-in recorder. That night, he got my signature and a recording of me saying, yes, I agree to the transfer. From then on, I was the technical guy. They took my seat, my votes, my name from the patents. And when the company celebrated its next funding round, Nathan raised a glass and said, Ethan's early work inspired us, but the real product, the one that works, came from our engineering team. People clapped. He smiled, and I realized I was clapping too. I didn't quit. I learned how to fight on their battlefield: money, legality, procedure. First, I started collecting digital fingerprints. Git commit IDs, timestamps, metadata, server logs. Every line of code signed with my encryption key. Then, I called a friend, Maya, a cybersecurity expert. Together, we built a full revision map, version histories, hash verifications, server access trails. It took weeks. After that came the paperwork. I registered a new company, Orion Labs. Filed a new patent, Helios Prediction Engine. The same engine they had stolen, now under my name, timestamped, notarized, and video recorded at a law firm downtown. Nathan had no idea. He thought I was still debugging legacy systems. While he spent millions buying journalists and lobbyists, I spent nights drafting contracts and sipping cold coffee. By fall, Grayson Dynamics was preparing a massive product launch in New York. Revolutionary predictive algorithm. Proprietary AI infrastructure. I already knew it was my work. Their presentation slides matched the ones I wrote 3 years ago, word for word. So I did one thing. 3 days before the launch, Orion Labs submitted a public patent notice. All rights to the Helios prediction engine belong to Orion Labs. Unauthorized commercial use will be prosecuted. It hit like a storm. Nathan's inbox flooded overnight. Journalists, investors, regulators. The morning of the event, headlines were already running. Grayson accused of stealing tech from former co-founder. I went to the launch. No invitation. Just a badge I printed from an old contact. The ballroom was a theater of glass and chrome, journalists everywhere. Nathan stood center stage, black suit, confident smile, introducing his breakthrough. He was mid-sentence. Our proprietary Helios algorithm. When the giant screen behind him froze, flickered, and switched, the company logo vanished. In its place appeared Orion Labs, official patent notice. The subtitle scrolled across the massive LED wall. Intellectual property under legal protection. Investigation pending. The room went dead silent. Cameras turned, murmurs rose. Nathan's microphone crackled. He froze, hand still mid-gesture. I stepped forward from the audience, holding a sealed envelope. The air between us felt heavy, like static before a storm. "Do you want to explain this?" I said quietly. "Or should I?" He blinked. "Ethan, what the hell are you doing?" I opened the envelope, pulled out documents one by one. The patent certificate, code comparison report, and court filing stamp. "Everything you've presented today belongs to me," I said. "And to the law." He lunged forward, tried to grab the papers. I stepped back. "Careful. Touching this makes it evidence tampering." Flashbulbs erupted. A reporter yelled, "Nathan, is this true? Did you steal your brother's work?" He didn't answer. He couldn't. Within 48 hours, everything imploded. The SEC opened an inquiry. Investors froze accounts. Emails surfaced. Nathan authorizing document forgeries, asset transfers, fake invoices. My father called, his voice shaking for the first time in my life. "Ethan, you've made your point. Let's talk before this gets uglier." I answered calm. "It already was ugly, Dad. You just didn't have to look at it." Grayson's stock dropped 60% in 3 days. Nathan was suspended. The board voted him out. On the news, the same anchors who once called him the visionary CEO now called him the man who stole an algorithm. He tried to deny it, but the digital trail was ironclad. Every commit, every timestamp, every IP log, my fingerprints, not his. By the end of the week, I owned the very company that had buried me. I renamed it Grayson Orion Labs. Not as revenge, but as reclamation. When I walked back into that same boardroom, the one where Nathan first humiliated me, the air felt different, quiet, almost hollow. The monitors were still there. The same view of San Francisco glittered outside the glass. Only now, I was the one standing. "Let's get back to work," I told the team. Months later, I saw Nathan again. He was sitting alone at a coffee shop on Market Street, sleeves wrinkled, tie gone, face unshaven. He looked up and froze when he saw me. "Ethan, we could still work together," he said, voice trembling. "I've got ideas. Maybe we start over." I interrupted gently. "No, Nathan. You had your turn." He tried to smile, but his lips just quivered. For a second, I almost felt sorry. Almost. He looked down at his hands, muttered something about bad luck, and walked away. The door closed behind him, bell ringing faintly, like punctuation. Back at the office, the lab was full of light. New engineers, young and hopeful, tested the system I once built in darkness. "Model stable," one of them said. "You want to sign off on the final deployment, Ethan?" I nodded, picked up the pen. On the contract, in clean black letters, it read, "All proprietary rights held by Orion Labs." I signed. Outside, the bay shimmered under afternoon sun. The servers hummed like a calm heartbeat. That's the thing about revenge. The real kind isn't loud. It's when the truth stands on its own, and your enemies can't touch it. They collapse not because you strike them, but because, for the first time, they see what it feels like to have nothing left to steal.